another one.
This one says, I've made a few beginner scripts in Python and uploaded to GitHub, but not sure how coding is used in cybersecurity. So, how is coding used in cybersecurity?
um, so coding is used in cybersecurity in a lot of different ways. The first way that people typically get introduced into coding is when something, a artifact, a piece of mission critical equipment fails to work. If you're working in an air gapped environment, that means that your computers don't have access to the internet. People who code typically rule the land. They are very important and critical individuals that can help make or break the success of what you're trying to get done. Um, Coding also comes into place if we're talking defensive. That's the guy that sits down and just eats PowerShell for Windows and understands how to integrate that with the good IAM security policy. Um, or can generate bash shells, shell scripts to go out and to harden endpoints, and create things that can iterate across multiple functions in such a way that it, instead of me having to send 12 people to go out to harden or enable secure practices and across the enterprise, you have taken maybe an hour or even maybe a whole workday in order to develop something that you deploy that has saved the company hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of man hour. So it looks the same as a software developer, except the focus is different. The person that understands code within and that was defensive. When we're talking offensive, we're talking about people who are able to look at code and perform, complex versions of cross-site scripting. Uh, uh, no more misspelled phishing campaigns. You have phishing campaigns that look legit, like using the set, the social engineer toolkit to properly create not only a website or web front end that looks like Facebook, but also functions authentically and stores cookies in an appropriate manner so that it's all transparent to the end user. And now you have access to their machine because, or at least some credentials that you can use in order to pivot and go deep into their network. Um, Python is a pretty sweet programming language. It's object oriented, right? So we're not really touching bare metal. There's layers of abstraction between it. But what Python enables is the modular function of its different packages in order to get you to where you want to be. So just think about if people are using something like Splunk and you have a really good grasp on Python to where you can use Selenium, and then you use the Selenium package to go forward and do some clicks based upon another another um, approach where people have provided you a list of users and passwords of that organization. So then now we're talking about bug bounties and password stuffing or password spraying. Like these coding enables a quicker method for you to ascertain the skills necessary for you to be successful in what you're doing on both the defensive and the offensive perspective. Did that was that good?
Yeah, that was awesome. And that kind of like because I almost forgot this question that China asked earlier before we even got onto this. Which I think it's gonna go together well with this with what we just spoke about. So I'm just gonna combine the two, right? So she asked earlier, put it on my screen. You won't see it on your screen, but it says, "What's the scoop on pen testing?" That falls under cybersecurity, right? And I think with pen testing, there is coding involved, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So whenever you have what's called a bug bounty program, right? And if you're looking to try and do some pen testing and things like that, we all know the major three, right? Synac, HackerOne, and BugCrowd, right? I've had experience on all three platforms. I was or still am a Synac Red team member. I like Synac. I like the way that they do business. I also like HackerOne. HackerOne does great stuff too. I did Bug Crowd. Um, I wasn't. It was just the the technical acumen that was required to be successful inside that space early in the earlier days. I just didn't have it. It was just a lot. And the speed to which people were delivering, I went to sleep. So yeah, I'm dealing with people in different time zones, and they have factories of people versus just me going at to try and solve. Um, I think that when we're talking about pen testing and it in cybersecurity, that can play two roles. One is part of the bug bounty program. You go out, you try and find problems inside of a existing business's strategy or online presence, or even just period. There are things called physical audits or physical pen testing where you have to social engineer your way into an organization in order to gain initial access to have the people who want to do the technical exploitation of X, Y, and Z corporation to gain access, right? So um I'd like to say long gone are the days where I can drive by this organization and just dump a bunch of USBs there, or put a sign up outside and pretend like we're giving away free USB things. I'd like to say that that's wholly gone, but there are still places where that's an appropriate method or an appropriate approach. But when we start talking about about pen testing, it can take a couple different manifestations. One of them is when you're internal to the organization, you're part of what is called cyber threat emulation. And what that is you work for the company, and they tell you ever so often, go ahead and see what you can do, and how far and how deep you can get within our company resources. Now, the benefit that that provides to a company is the ability for you to identify security gaps or issues, as well as identifying a method or a way ahead that we might be able to protect or defend against it. So that's working hand in hand with hunt teams. That's working hand in hand with the policy generators for that organization, so that once those things have been executed, we can one patch those things, and then secondly have a third party auditor or a third party organization to come in behind us and to perform the same things that we did, and definitely provide that we have definitely solved for that problem. So with pen testing, I need you guys to, when you say pen testing, I want you to also say documentation, point blank period. Because in order for you to provide anything that's going to be useful for the person on the other end of that pen test, like, it's not just about going and wrecking somebody's stuff, but it's about respectfully displaying where some things can be tightened up and where some solutions can be had, and providing them, the steps as to what you took in order to do that. And I believe, like, tech coach Ralph, didn't you discovered a bug just recently, right?
Yeah.
So so what you discovering a bug, there's something called responsible disclosure, right? And so through you discovering this bug, in order for you to, not to perpetuate possible vulnerabilities across different platforms, if you do responsible disclosure, the expectation is that, okay, hey, I found this thing, and depending upon how high on the threat level this particular thing might be, it may become a financial reward or some type of fiduciary result coming from your discovery. But I think the important part is just make sure that you document it and share it with the appropriate people, so that, so that you're not just out here, saying, "Hey, look at what I found. I found that Microsoft, if you type Control Alt Delete, man," or if I go to, my favorite place, Tracer T, if I run that command and I'm looking at the internet, you know, hacking into your environment, then, it's great. We gotta be, if you're interested in cybersecurity, it's a very uh it, trust is very important in those spaces. And cybersecurity is a very small world. And if you are not acting in the way that you should be acting, word gets around very quickly. That's all.
If you enjoyed the fascinating information shared in this video and you want more, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Tech Coach Ralph to be notified for new videos.